And a good morning, Birds fans. It should be a good 2 hours with you here on Birds 365 this morning. Appreciate you streaming in bright and early with us. You got the Mac and Mac guys back together again after a short respite last week. Yours truly needed a couple days off, and glad to be back here after an Eagle game and leading into an Eagle joint practice. Yeah, man, we got a lot to cover. But let's get the niceties out of the way first. Yeah, I needed a couple days off last week to do some WIP duties. But it didn't keep me from spending quality time with John McMullen down on the field at the NovaCare complex on Thursday or morning, I guess it was, before afternoon. Oh, they never go past noon. Why would I even think noon? On Thursday morning for practice, an orange practice, which none of us really knew what an orange practice was.
Orange is new. Yeah, orange is new.
Roll out a new practice for everybody. Maybe because I was there. I don't know. But it was good to see you, Johnny Mac. How was the trip down to Baltimore?
We don't want to go there. Not good. Coming back was fine. Yeah, a lot of problems on 95. So what is normally an hour, 40-minute trip,
right? Under 2.
Took 3 hours.
Wow.
So was not happy. But
you get there before kickoff. You leave early enough.
No, I got there before kickoff, but just barely before kickoff. So it was good it wasn't a regular season game because we didn't have a pregame show here on JAKIB Sports, but if we did, I would not have made it.
Not part of it. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. And I didn't know that. I'm honest. I'm being honest with you, streamers here. Thank you for tuning in. I had no idea that Johnny Mac had reaching the stadium issues, but you did. But I saw your tweets coming out from right at the start of the game. Jalen Carter, first snap in the NFL, makes mincemeat of an offensive lineman of the Ravens and almost kills the quarterback. So I knew you were there for at least the first play. Knew you were in the seat by the time the game got underway, even though the Eagles got the ball first. Which, oh, by the way, Sirianni wins the toss and takes the ball.
Yeah, how about that?
You knew that it was a full game. It's a complete farce of a game. Yeah. If Sirianni's going to take the ball to start the game, what the hell is that all about?
Yeah, preseason. That's what it tells you. I mean, you could do. Yeah.
Tells you.
I mean, I know we got to talk about the preseason game because that's what people saw, but you know, the Browns are in for joint practices starting tonight. Weird time, but those are far more important. I would argue these are the two biggest days of the summer for the 2023 Eagles for the way they run their organization. These are literally the two biggest days of the summer. But, yeah, you got to talk about preseason.
Why Browns over Colts next week?
There's only one. I mean, the Colts are big too, but there's only one for whatever reason. So, you know, these are going to end up, and that's big too. I'm not trying to downplay it, but the joint practices as a whole are, they just value them more. It's so whoever you trust, you don't have to trust me, but if you got a beat reporter you trust, pay attention to the news today. It's going to be far more important than what you saw on Saturday night against the Ravens, who, by the way, come on, Baltimore. The hinky quarterback action. Come on.
You didn't like them holding their
You're trying to win.
Got out there.
I mean, come on. Now I kind of understand. I don't pay attention. I'm like, how do you win 23 straight preseason games? It's just such the weirdest thing. And I saw why they got to number 24. You're rolling out one of the best backup quarterbacks in football in the third quarter when the Eagles are rolling out the third team, and you sort of get ahead that way. So whatever, but it doesn't matter.
Here's where I'm not going to come down on Harbaugh. The preseason, the rules are that there are no rules. So if you want to do something like that, why not? Other teams don't play players.
Well, I guess
you can't bring a better quarterback in against the lesser defense if there are no rules.
Well, you can. That's not the point. But what are you getting out of it? I mean, to me, it's about getting your players ready. You're not getting out of it. You have a very good backup quarterback. You at least, in my estimation, I would at least want him to play against the Eagles' best players that they're playing, which, you know, The Eagles didn't dress 26. The Ravens didn't dress 30. So it's not like the Ravens were dressing their key players either.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm like, here's the thing. I mean, one of the problems with preseason football, like I got, and I don't know what you got, Jody, but I already got, oh, is Tanner McKee going to push Marcus Mariota? No, he's not. He's not pushing him at all. But you know, he played very, very impressively for a young quarterback in his first sort of NFL dress action, whatever you want to call it. And then Eli Ricks even more so in the fourth in garbage time against a garbage quarterback who's telegraphing passes. And Jody, by the way, man, I think he literally sent an old school telegram to Eli Ricks. That's how easy it was. You know, he made the 53s. No, he didn't. He's got a long way to go before he makes a 53-man roster on this team.
He might have made the practice squad.
Well,
a pick six might be enough to just get you a spot on the practice squad.
He already
as telegraphed as it may have been, that is something that stays in the mind of the coaching staff.
I thought already he was in the mix for a practice squad, and I don't think he moved. He's in the mix for a practice squad, and at least that, and some of that will have to do with guys ahead of them. Do they get claimed on waivers or do they not get claimed on waivers? But hey, it's good for him.
Oh, by the way, he can get claimed on waivers. If they're going to put him through the practice squad, somebody sees it, doesn't read it the same way John McMullen did. Wow, that was a hell of a play. Not I could have made that interception. It was so undisguised in the moment on the field. Yeah, maybe he's the kind of guy who ends up with another squad.
Well, that's possible too. And that's why you sort of want to hide guys you really want in the preseason, especially young players that you know aren't going to be on the 53. My point is he had not had a great camp, but good for him. You know, some guys they show up on game day. You know that, Jody. Maybe he's one of those guys. But yeah, he's got a tough hill to climb at a position they're very deep at, is all I'm trying to say. And that didn't really change. Now maybe it gets him some second team reps against Cleveland this week. Maybe it keeps, there's still time, but I'm saying don't make these rash projections over, you know, one play in the fourth quarter of a preseason game with the fourth string quarterback. You know, it's context matters is all I'm trying to say.
I agree. And we've already talked plenty about what happened on the field, but I did want to start here. We got jumped into it. Those who didn't play, you mentioned 28 Eagles, 30 Ravens, didn't even bother dressing. That's what you get in preseason. I don't even have a grasp on it yet because we're only 2 years into 3 preseason games. I had a pretty good grasp on 4 preseason games. First one, basically nobody played. Second one, guys play a little bit. Third one was the dress rehearsal where you're going to get your starters playing most up to half, maybe into the third quarter. And then fourth quarter, you're deciding the last 6 roster spots, the fourth preseason. Now with 3 games, I'm kind of off who should play, who shouldn't play. Eagles decided to not play a whole bunch of guys, but then again, so did the Ravens. What did you read into it? Those who did not play, those who sat, anything more than the casual fan would think that you got out of who was or wasn't up on game day?
Well, no, I went through it. So the total number was 26, and I called, like, who were the deference players is what I call them. Well, it was Jalen Hurts, Slay, Devontae Smith, Hassan Reddick, going by numbers, A.J. Brown, James Bradbury, Avonte Maddox, Reed Blankenship, Cam Jurgens, BG, Jason.
Which, by the way, Reed Blankenship, an undrafted rookie just 12 months ago, is now into deference status. Yeah, that tells you a lot.
Yeah, it does. He's had a great camp. He is locked in. Kelsey, Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Dallas Goedert, Fletcher Cox, Josh Sweat. I thought Quez Watkins was a part of that. I thought Britton Covey was a part of that. But Nick Sirianni, after the game, said they were going to play, but they were scratched. They both had sore hamstrings. So I didn't give them deference status. And then the running backs, I was going to give Kenny Gainwell deference status. And then Boston Scott was on there, and I said, well, that's weird. And Sirianni said after the game, he likes to get running backs tackled, so don't read too much into that. And they'll probably get some playing time against the Browns on Thursday night. So I didn't put them in the deference category. Then you had the injured guys, Deion Kane, Patrick Johnson, Devin Allen, who are dealing with things, ankles for Kane and Johnson, calf for Devin Allen. And then you have two players that I can't really figure out. Jacoby Dean, because he can be in either the injury category or the deference category. But I'm thinking Jordan Davis played. So I think it had more to do with N'Kobe's
by the way,
ankle.
Jordan Davis played 4 snaps.
Yeah, not much. But, the first team, which was really the second team, played about 6. Jalen Carter only played 2. He played 4. But I think he would have played if it wasn't for the ankle. But we didn't discuss that. And the weirdest of all, Olamide Zaccheaus didn't play. And he didn't mention him. Like he mentioned Quez and Britton having hamstrings. I can't imagine if Quez was going to play, Olamide wasn't going to play, but I don't have an injury status on him. So he was probably the weirdest one. And that's sort of how I ran down the players that didn't play, the clear deference players. N'Kobe might have been one of those, might not have been. And Olamide, I can't imagine he was a deference player, but those were the only two somewhat weird ones.
And that's not much when you got a 90-man roster. That's actually good reporting by you, Sirianni being honest with his decisions and the like. He was upfront about it, at least after the game. Told the broadcast team a couple of reasons why guys weren't playing and his thought process on putting out his roster. At least he was pretty upfront about it. I got to appreciate that from Coach because, the Eagles, when in doubt, don't tell anybody anything.
Yeah, well, and he took it up to the last minute, which I think is silly anyway. But, when you were talking about Jody, we all had a feel for the old preseason method. Like last year, the first game, the starters played. They didn't play a lot.
Right.
They played one drive, but they played, and it was a very successful drive. They scored a touchdown. I don't know. It was like 8 plays. I forget exactly. And then they were out. But this time the difference was the timing, right? They had joint practices after that first game, but they were later in the week, and it was a Saturday game, I think, so they had some time. This is a Thursday game, so the joint practices got moved up to Monday and Tuesday right after the game. They're like,
right.
We're not going to play them. So the timing affected that as well. Are they going to play at all? I mean, last year they shut him down right after that first game. They shut him down. Specifically that last game in Miami. I mean, nobody played.
That also had to do with them getting their tails kicked in the one joint practice that they had against the Dolphins. Remember, they got the one canceled because of illness?
The Dolphins were smart. They got the win and got the hell out of there with that virus that was going around the facility. The Eagles ended up practicing by themselves at the Dolphins facility. I don't think it had anything to do with that. I mean, they weren't playing anybody, period, in that game before those joint practices even started. They were not playing anybody in the last preseason game. I think that's going to be the case again against Indianapolis. So are the starters going to get a series against Cleveland? I don't know, maybe, but I can't get a feel for it.
Will Lane Johnson or Jason Kelsey, those are the two guys. I guess you put Fletcher and BG in that same mix. The core 4, a.k.a. the old guys, will they even suit up? Will they put on a pair of shoulder pads for a preseason game, any of the 3 the Eagles play?
Yeah, probably. It's a bunch of guys suited up and then, we're doing pregame stuff. I was told. I was there late. I was told. So yeah, that probably. But do they really have to? So I'm at the point where, like, if you play them a series against Cleveland on Thursday night. What does that matter?
What does
What
it
is that?
accomplish? Right.
What is the accomplish? So I'm at the matter. I wouldn't play him at all. But if you're asking me, are they going to play him? I don't know. Old habits die hard. When you were gone, I was talking to Farzette about this, and I brought up Brian Billick because he was the first one who explained this to me. And it's obvious, but I just don't think about it because you go through for years. Preseason was the same. It was what you said. Game 3's the dress rehearsal, and you're like, and for years you need some preseason work. And Brian was the first one who told me why. I mean, college have been doing it for years. They practice, they show up, and they play. They have a couple scrimmages against each other. They've been doing it for years. Why do you need preseason? And I kind of opened my eyes to something that was out. Yeah, I mean, they do it. Why the hell can't you do it at the pro level? And it's just because it's sort of inertia. It was always done that way. And now, since you don't have time to prepare, I'm with the Eagles in that get to week 1 as healthy as possible. And they already lost Sean Bradley for the season in one preseason game. Now, a backup linebacker, but a relevant special teams player. So they already lost one player at what is one of their few weaknesses, linebacker as a whole. And we go back to what we just said, Jody. What is one series going to accomplish, good or bad? What is it going?
Right.
In the long run? What is it going to accomplish?
Well, they did move a practice on Wednesday. Oh, by the way, screwed us. When I say us, I mean me and Joe DeCamera for WIP. We report to the NovaCare complex at 6:00 in the morning. It's dark. You can't see your hand in front of your face. Don't know if you've ever been there at 6 a.m., Johnny Mac, but it's actually kind of scary. And then they don't even show. They go over to the link so they can work on communication from the booth, not in the booth. And now. Stop. Boy, what are you doing? I guess that's why you play the guys one series, just to get into the routine of playing National Football League games again, because the Eagles thought enough of it to move a practice, even though they had their broadcast outlet there to talk to some of their players. We got Sean Desai at 7:00 in the morning. Didn't answer any of the questions we asked, so it was a almost nonsensical day that we spent there, but that's the only thing that I can think of why they would go to it. Realistically, the reason why they do it, television and attendance. They will have people at the link for the 2 preseason games. Eagles got 2 home preseason games this year. So, yeah, they're going to charge you to come in, and it's programming. I've been watching football since Thursday night on the NFL Network. They just show game after game after game, pick up the team's announcers. It's not NFL Network announcers, but they just use teams' local broadcasts. NBC 10 out of here in Philadelphia with Scotty Graham and
Ross Tucker.
Ross. Right. Shame on me sorry about that, Ross. And yeah, it's good to hear the Eagle announcers again. If you're on the radio, you got Merrill and Mike, of course. Oh, that's why they do it. Because it's cash. They make money off this.
Yeah,
they allow people into the game. Yeah. They charge them in some places full season prices for regular season, preseason, laughable rostered games. Yeah. That's why they do it, Johnny Mac. It's cash.
They bundle it with season tickets, but yeah, I'm talking from a football standpoint. You're right from a business standpoint. I'm talking about the football guys. I mean, the Eagles. They've made their decision, and I don't know what one series is going to help. And we had Bo Wilf on while you were gone, and Bo brought up, and he was right, and he said, Jalen Hurts likes to play. I brought that up. I talked to him last week. He likes to play. If there's a football game, he wants to play. He's also 25 years old. He's just turned 25. And Bo said, you think Jalen Hurts wants to make, I think he said 87-year-old Jason Kelce get dressed. I mean, it affects other people because if you're going to put the starting quarterback out there, we ain't putting him out there behind Josh Andrews. No offense to Josh Andrews, who, has done a nice job sort of rescuing reps for this team in practice.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna suit up. You have to suit up the whole starting offensive line. So that factors into it as well.
That's why I didn't think Jalen Hurts was playing, and that turned out to be the case. All right, but a whole bunch of Eagles did play. We're breaking it down. We'll get more of Johnny Mac's read on what he saw on Saturday night, even though it doesn't hold all that much water. We will get the opinion of one Jeff Kerr from CBSSports.com, our usual Monday participant. He's up next here on Birds 365.